And now to politics. The Edo Governorship election is heating up with allegations of rigging plots and voter intimidation. The ruling People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accused the opposition, All Progressives Congress, APC, of planning to rig the election in polling units near Senator Adams Oshiomhole's hometown. The State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Neyekari, stated this during a press conference in Benin City, the Edo State capital, on Sunday, claiming that the same scenario played out in the last election in 2020. The PDP claims that APC agents are producing masks, police uniforms to disguise thugs and disrupt voting processes. The APC denies these allegations, calling them horrific hallucination and accusing the PDP of trying to distract from their own shortcomings. With the election just days away, tensions are running high in Edo State. And now to discuss this, we're joined by political analyst Ibrahim Momoh. Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get started because we're pressed for time. I mean, election rigging, right? We have seen this common method of election rigging observed in previous general elections. Now, how might this apply to the Edo State governorship election? And do you think there's any truth to this claim by the ruling party?
Thank you for having me. Yes, going by past elections, there's every cause for concern. Not just by those who have raised the alarm of attempted rigging, but by the broad spectrum of political parties. It appears that elections in the third world, Nigeria inclusive, it's usually about who rigs more rather than who is able to turn out the vote, because essentially the electorates are a bit docile. In Nigeria's 2023 general elections, we saw that out of over 90 million registered voters, only 28 million voters came out. In the last gubernatorial election in Edo, of the over 2.5 million registered voters, total vote cast was just over 500,000. That is about 531,000 votes of the over 2.5. So that leaves a lot of room. That voter party kind of leaves much room for election riggers and manipulations of the process. So it's a real challenge. Though sometimes it's not just about those who are raising the alarm, because the broad spectrum of political parties, particularly the major parties, are guilty of acts of rigging. That's why virtually every election that takes place in Nigeria always ends up in the court, because usually and what is funny for me is the fact that those who are perpetrators of these rigging exercises are the ones who raise the alarm and they point accusing figures first at the electoral management body, election management body, INEC, and subsequently at the courts, trying to hoodwink or plagiarize courts to rule in their favor. So that for me, I think it's a genuine fear.
Right.
The rigging of elections.
Now, with the APC and the PDP, one already is a ruling party of the nation, while the other is a ruling party for the state. How might these two parties be leveraging their resources to influence the outcome of the Edo governorship election?
Well, before I talk about it, let me just say that the evidence before us do not tend to suggest that there is a defining advantage for any party that is at the center. When the former governor of Edo, Adams Oshiomhole, won his election, contested and eventually won his second term in office, that was in 2012, the PDP was the ruling party, while the ACN was the party on which Adams Oshiomhole ran for his second term. Well, Adams Oshiomhole won the election. Even the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, he contested in 2020 under the platform of the PDP. Whereas at the center, you had the APC's Muhammadu Buhari as president. That did not influence. He still went on to win. So the evidence before us does not tend to suggest that there's a defining advantage that the disparity in the parties at the center and the state confer on any party, particularly those who can leverage the power at the center.
Right.
That said, both parties have historically they have advantages. They have resources and leverage, what they can leverage on, to try to win the election. The first thing is that these both parties are on ground, as we say in politics. Both parties tend to have presence in over 4,509 polling units in the state. They have in all the wards, all the local government. They have presence. They are on ground, so to say. So
we seem to have lost Ibrahim Momoh there. He is a political analyst talking to us about the election, the upcoming election in Edo State, following accusations of election rigging by the APC. I understand, Ibrahim, you're back now.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Very well. So I'm saying that both parties are strong enough, and of course they have their presence in every of the units, over 4,500 units in the state. And so in terms of population, of the breadth of followership, they have a huge following, both parties have. And then, of course, you know that there has been this allegation between the back and forth between the state governor and the functionaries of the federal government,
right,
on the issue of the fact that the federal government might deploy its resources, to sway the results in favor of the ruling party.
Towing that line, I'm going to piggyback off your last statement then and ask my final question. How does all of this play in the public perception of electoral, fairness, and how it would influence political stability and most especially voter turnout come September 21st? Very quickly, because we're out of time.
Very well. Quickly, to say that the fierce rhetoric you are seeing among the key players across parties is meant to scare voters, because it's only when voters don't come out to vote that's when rigging, essentially takes place. So it is not out of place. It is not it's not a thing of mistake that you are hearing this kind of very strong armed tactics or rhetorics. It's because the parties, perhaps those who are raising these alarms, have interest, in rigging elections. Ordinarily, what you expect is that it should be getting out the votes, unit by unit. But what you are saying is that there are allegations of rigging, maybe to cover up for planned action, or indeed there is a genuine fear, of rigging.
Once again, Ibrahim, many thanks for doing this with us. We thank you so much for coming on, and solid analysis as always. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.